Hello and welcome to the Cake Tip. Today we're going to be making a beautiful berry dessert pizza. The ingredients you're going to need to make this pizza base to begin with is some almond flour, some tapioca flour, or if you're making this keto, you'll need that as coconut flour, some baking powder, that's gluten-free, some stevia to sweeten it, and some desiccated coconut. Okay, to begin with, you're going to place all of these ingredients into the almond mill to begin with, and you're going to stir them in to combine them so they all come together. I will put a list of all the ingredients required to make the base and the top of the pizza in the description underneath the video. Once all your ingredients are mixed together, pop that to one side so we can create the wet ingredients, which you're going to need for that 3 large free-range eggs, some coconut oil, which we're going to pop straight into the eggs. This needs to be liquefied coconut oil as well, not a solid, so it combines easily. You're also going to need some almond milk, and we're using almond milk in this because we're using so much almond meal, and it will be much better than using any other nut milk. Whisk all of this together in a jug. Now the reason I'm using a jug is because we will need to pour this into the dry ingredients. So you're going to do this in 3 stages. First of all, you'll need to create a well in your flour mix to begin with. Once you've created that well, you're going to pour about 1/3 of the wet mix into this to combine. If you do it all at once, it will become far too sticky and the almond meal and the coconut won't absorb the egg. The consistency that we're looking for as we continue to pour our wet mix into our dry is a very, very wet dough. This isn't a dough that you'll be able to turn out onto a board to be able to roll or knead. This is a dough that you'll be able to spoon out, but it will still stay together. Once you're happy, pour the next 1/3 of the liquid mix into the bowl and start to combine again. And you're just going to follow this process continuously until you've used up all of your wet mix and it has come together to form a lovely dough ready to patch onto a tray, ready to go into the oven. When your dough is ready and you're happy that it's easy enough to work with, you're going to be using roughly about half of the mix because this actually makes 2 30cm dessert pizza bases. So grab yourself a tray lined with some baking parchment paper and a palette knife to be able to spread it. Now I'm going to make this a round pizza, and then I'm going to use the other half to create another pizza base, which then my daughters, when they return home from school, will be making an apple cinnamon base. So you're just going to be using half of this straight in the center of the tray, and then we're going to use the palette knife to spread it out. Now it does need to be roughly about 1/2 centimeter thick. If you make it any thicker than that, then it's harder for it to cook within the short period of time, and it does tend to be a little bit stodgy. So it's really important that you make it nice and thin. So using the palette knife, just spread the mix throughout the pan until it's nice and round. Once you're happy with the shape and the thickness, you're going to pop this into a preheated oven and bake it for roughly 5 minutes, and just until it's risen slightly and brown. So this is exactly how we want it to look. We're now going to leave this to cool slightly before we flip it over to be able to decorate it. To decorate it, you're going to need some strawberries, some lemon zest, some cinnamon and ginger, some gluten-free, sugar-free chocolate drops, and some raspberries. The raspberries will need to be frozen and then popped into the microwave just so that we can crush them up, because we're using these to create the topping for the base. So now we're going to flip over our pizza. by placing some parchment paper over the top, then a breadboard over the top of that. You're then going to use your hands to flip this over. Now you need to have it nice and supported, and then it will flip nice and easy. So as you can see, we've come straight over onto the breadboard. We're going to peel off the old layer of parchment paper and then bring our tray back over, and we're then just going to slide it back onto the tray. So now what was the top is now the underneath. So it's nice and puffy on the top, ready for us to decorate. So taking a hold of your raspberries, you're going to create a base using these. Using the palette knife again, you're just going to spread this over the whole of the pizza base, just like you would using tomato paste in a normal pizza. If you don't have a palette knife, you can use the back of the spoon, as I have done here because mine wasn't clean. Now you're ready to decorate with your cinnamon and ginger, which I've mixed together. Now, I've used a fair amount of ginger and cinnamon, as we all absolutely love cinnamon, but it's entirely up to you how much you choose to use to decorate. Next, we are going to add our lemon zest. So we're using just half of the lemon for the lemon zest for this, because we don't want to overpower it. We're just using the lemon really to enhance the other flavours that are on the pizza top. The next stage of decorating is our gluten-free, dairy-free, sugar-free chocolate drops. Now, once again, I'll give you a measurement within the description of how much we've used, but it's entirely up to you. If you want to have more on your pizza, that's entirely up to you. I'm purely doing this for how I think it looks aesthetically, because at the end I am going to drizzle gluten-free, sugar-free dark chocolate over the top. The last thing to go on our pizza before it goes into the oven is some frozen strawberries. Now, the reason I'm using frozen strawberries is so that they hold their shape whilst I'm placing them on the pizza, but once they're in the oven they will begin to melt, and it tends to seep into the pizza base just slightly doing it this way. So this pizza base, you will need to increase the temperature of the oven to 220 degrees, and it'll bake for roughly 5 minutes, just until the chocolate drops have started to melt. So as you can see here, it's baked and looking absolutely beautiful. I'm just now going to decorate it with some melted gluten-free, dairy-free, sugar-free dark chocolate, and also some mint from my garden. I'm just crushing the mint slightly just to allow the flavour to come out. The green colour does also make this look very appealing to the eye when you're serving it up. So once we've got all of our mint on there, we're going to move on to our drizzled chocolate. So take a hold of your warm, from the microwave or from a double boiler, chocolate, and you're just going to take a spoonful and work from one side to the other and just drizzle it across. Once again, you can use as much or as little as you want to on this, or you can not have it at all. It's entirely up to you. Once I finish decorating this pizza, I'll just slide it off the parchment paper onto a board, and then I shall serve it warm in slices to friends and family. Thanks for watching this video, and please remember to subscribe for future videos of gluten-free, vegan, keto, paleo and more.